Hello boys and girls, it's your boy King Jiffy Codes back with another fun, wild video about another celebrity that some people probably don't care about, probably won't get any views, but this is about one of my favorite actors of all time, and I really just wanted to do like a mini dedication or type bio about him because I really do love Bruce Willis. He was the first actor that I ever truly fell in love with, so I put together this little piece and I hope you guys enjoy this biography on Bruce Willis, The Reckoning of an Everyman. Bruce wasn't born for the spotlight. Bruce came from Carneys Point, New Jersey, a working-class town where the Delaware River met smokestacks and ambition was a luxury few could afford. The son of a welder and a bank teller, he grew up in a world of grit, where dreams were small and practical. As a boy, his stutter was a relentless shadow. Words tangled in his throat, each sentence a battle against silence. At school, the cruelty of kids was sharper than any script. They mocked, they laughed, and Bruce, tough but tender, sometimes laughed along, masking the sting. It was survival. But then he found the stage. In a high school drama rooms, under flickering lights, the faint smell of old costumes, something unlocked. The stutter, the cruel gatekeeper, vanished when he stepped into somebody else's skin. Acting wasn't just an escape, it was a revelation. The stage didn't care about perfection, it demanded truth. And Bruce, raw and unpolished, had that in abundance. He didn't just memorize lines, he found rhythm, breath, a pulse. Playing others, he began to piece himself together. Music was his other salvation. The blues, souls, and R&B records spinning in his childhood home spoke a language he understood before he could articulate it. When he picked up a harmonica, it became an extension of his voice, gruff, soulful, unrefined. It didn't need to be perfect, it just needed to be. In dive bars and small gigs, he blew notes that carried pain and joy in equal measures. The harmonica wasn't an instrument, it was a lifeline, a way to speak when words failed. By the time he hit New York in the late 1970s, he was a young man with a fire inside. He bartended at Cafe Central, a West Side haunt for actors, musicians, and dreamers. Under neon lights, he poured drinks for the heartbroken and hopeful, learning the cadence of human stories. He watched how people moved, how they hid, how they lied to themselves. He learned to read a room, to shift his energy, to match the movement. It wasn't acting yet, but it was rehearsal for a life he didn't yet know was coming. He was watching, he was learning, he was waiting for the world to call his name. You know the type. A smirk that says he's in on the joke, a voice that sounds like gravel and whiskey, a guy who'd take a punch and throw it back harder. When Bruce landed the role of David Addison Jr. in Moonlighting from 1985 to 1989, he wasn't just playing a character, he was unleashing a piece of himself. The show was a gamble, blending detective drama with screwball comedy, and Bruce was its heartbeat. Opposite Shibel Shepherd's polished Matty Hayes, his Addison was fast-talking, wisecracking everyman, equal parts charm and chaos. He improvised quips, broke the fourth wall, and moved like he owned the screen. The chemistry was electric. Moonlighting wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon, a cultural touchstone that rewrote what TV could be. Bruce Willis didn't just act, he disarmed. Audience didn't see a character, they saw a friend, a brother, a guy who'd have your back in a bar fight. He was relatable in the way that felt revolutionary, not a chiseled leading man, not a brooding intellectual, just a guy with a glint in his eye and a heart bigger than his ego. And fame came fast. By the mid-80s, Bruce was on magazine covers, red carpets, talk shows. He was a sex symbol, but not the untouchable kid. With his receding hairline, crow's feet, he wasn't a Greek god, he was the guy you'd split a six-pack with. The one who'd tell you a story that made you laugh until it hurt. His authenticity was his superpower. Then he surprised everyone. In 1987, under the pseudonym Bruno, he released Return of Bruno, a bluesy R&B infused album that wasn't just a celebrity side hustle. It was a love letter to music that raised him. Motown, Sam Cooke, the staple singers. Tracks like Respect Yourself and Under the Boardwalk weren't polished, but they were honest. Critics raised eyebrows, but fans heard the truth. Bruce wasn't chasing clout, he was chasing connection. The album hit the Billboard charts, peaking at number 14, a testament to his grit and groove. Even as fame reshaped his world, Bruce stayed grounded. He supported Make-A-Wish, visited children's hospitals, and quietly sent donations to veteran causes. He didn't do it for headlines, he did it because it was who he was. In a Hollywood of facades, he remained stubbornly, gloriously himself. And then in 1988, everything changed. Nakatomi Plaza. John McClane, a bloody tank top, bare feet, and a bad attitude. Bruce Willis didn't just become an action star, a new kind of legend. One who bled, swore, and fought like hell to survive. Die Hard in 1988 wasn't just a movie, it was a systemic shift. Action heroes before Bruce were untouchable. Sylvester Stallone's Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando, men carved from marble and myth. John McClane was different. He was a New York cop, jet-lagged, divorce-torn, and deeply human. He didn't want to be a hero, he had to be. He limped, he bled, he cursed under his breath. When he delivered, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," it wasn't just a catchphrase, it was defiance. Audiences roared. Die Hard grossed $140 million worldwide and redefined the genre. Bruce wasn't just a star, he was a blueprint. The everyman action hero, flawed, funny, and fiercely relatable, was born. But the 90s tested him. After the highs of Die Hard and Die Hard 2, he swung big and missed with Hudson Hawk in 1991, a quirky, ambitious caper he co-wrote. There was a critical and commercial disaster, grossing just $17 million against a $65 million budget, which I have to say is one of my actual favorite Bruce Willis movies. I think it's the most goofy, witty, weird film I've ever seen, and I don't think there has been ever anything else like it since that movie has released. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Then came The Bonfire of Vanities in 1990, was even messier, a misfire sunk by miscasting and bloated ambitions. Critics sharpened their knives and the narrative shifted. Was Bruce a flunk? A one-hit wonder? He didn't let it define him though. He went back to music, releasing If It Don't Kill Ya, It Just Makes You Stronger in 1989. The album didn't chart like Bruno, but it was raw, reflective, and defiantly personal. Songs like Save the Last Dance for Me were less about fame and more about resilience. A man singing through the static of doubt. Then came the Renaissance. In 1994, Bruce met Quentin Tarantino.
There's Bruce Willis. I've never met him before. And it turns out he is a huge fan of Reservoir Dogs. Look, I read your script. What, Reservoir Dogs? No, the new one, Pulp Fiction. Wow, I mean, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
All right. And he goes, yeah, so I want to play Vincent. He goes, I want to play Vincent. I go, well, I kind of have John Travolta set up
to play him.
for Vincent, and so he goes, well, John's great, John's terrific, John's good. Okay, but you know, Bruce, yes, but I think you should be in this movie. You understand it. You get the script. You get my sense of humor. I think you should be in the movie. Now you naturally were attracted to the Vincent character, and then you were naturally attracted to the Jules character. There is a third lead here that I think you would be perfect for. I would ask you, you've had your mind set on other people, on other characters. I would just ask you to read the script one more time with the idea of you playing Butch. And if you don't respond, fine. But I would just ask you to read it one more time with the other characters out of your head and with that character on your plate. And he goes, okay, I'll do that. I can do that. I'll do that tonight. Call me tomorrow. And then I called him the next day and he said, Quentin, the shortest sentence in the Bible is Jesus wept. The shortest sentence in Hollywood is I'm in. And I'm in.
Butch Coolidge, a boxer who defies the odds and the mob to reclaim his dignity. The role ended up being a masterclass in restraint, angry, wounded, and quietly noble. Pulp Fiction didn't just revive Bruce Willis's career, it reshaped cinema, grossing over $200 million and igniting the indie film boom. Bruce rode the wave, but he also helped make it. What followed was a string of bold choices. 12 Monkeys in 1995, a mind-bending sci-fi thriller where he played a haunted time traveler. The Fifth Element in 1997, a gonzo space opera where he balanced champ and heart. The Sixth Sense, a ghostly drama that earned 6 Oscar nominations, and Unbreakable in 2000, a grounded superhero story that showcased his quiet strength. Each role was different, but each carried his signature, vulnerability wrapped in grit. He wasn't chasing blockbusters, he was chasing stories that lingered. But the 2000s brought shadows, the spotlight dimmed, and Bruce seemed to dim with it. The infectious energy of his early years gave way to something heavier. Directors like Kevin Smith, who worked with him on Live Free or Die Hard in 2007 and then Cop Out in 2010, described him as distant and sometimes combative. Stories surfaced of short workdays, missed cues, and a temper that flared without warning. The harmonica went silent, the music stopped, the grin that once lit up screens felt like a memory. Whispers grew louder. Was it ego? Burnout? Greed? Tabloids painted him as a has-been cashing in on his name, but those stories missed the truth. Off camera, Bruce was still there for others. He still sent checks to veteran organizations, still visited hospitals without fanfare, and still called fans battling illnesses. He didn't advertise it because he didn't need to. His humanity wasn't a performance. But the industry was changing, and so was he. Roles got smaller, the reviews sharper. Films like The Expendables in 2010, Looper in 2012 showed flashes of the old Bruce, but something was off. The spark flickered. It wasn't laziness, it wasn't arrogance, it was something no one could name yet. The 2010s brought the red box years. Bruce appeared in a flood of low-budget action films. Titles like Precious Cargo in 2016, Marauders in 2016, First Kill in 2017. They came fast, often straight to streaming or DVD. Critics called them lazy, fans called them disappointing, and rumors swirled of million-dollar paydays for minimal work. The narrative hardened. Bruce was phoning it in and coasting on fumes, but Hollywood knew something the public didn't. The scripts were tailored to his limitations. Lines were short, scenes were contained, directors worked around tight schedules, avoiding complex setups. These weren't cash grabs, they were an act of grace. An industry that loved him was finding ways to keep him working, to give him purpose, to let him stay in the game. Films like Motherless Brooklyn and the Detective Night series showed he could still deliver when the role fit. But mostly it was about endurance. One more take, one more day, one more chance to be Bruce Willis. Because the clock was ticking and only few could hear it. In March of 2022, the truth broke open. Bruce was diagnosed with aphasia, a condition that erodes language and communication. In February 2023, the diagnosis sharpened to frontotemporal dementia, FTD, a progressive disease that steals not just words but personalities, impulse control, and memory. The pieces fell into place. The difficult behavior, the short days, the clipped responses, they weren't ego, they were symptoms. The stutter that had haunted his childhood had returned in a crueler form, locking him in silence. FTD didn't care about his fame, his legacy, or his fight. It took without mercy. Emma Hemming Williams, his wife, stepped into the void. She didn't just grieve, she acted. She became a fierce advocate, sharing their family's story to raise awareness about FTD, a disease too often misunderstood or ignored. She faced online trolls who mocked Bruce's decline, and she stood taller. "You don't get a vote," she said, her voice steady, her resolve unbreakable. Through her advocacy, Google searches for FTD spiked. Donations to research foundations surged. Caregivers, long invisible, found a voice. Emma didn't just protect Bruce's dignity, she refined his legacy. A world stopped seeing the action hero and started seeing a man, a husband, a father of 5, a fighter who faced his final battle with quiet courage. Bruce didn't go out in a blaze of glory. He faded slowly like a song you can't stop humming. But in that fading, something louder emerged. A reckoning about what it means to be a hero. Not the kind that saves the day, but the kind who keeps going when the day can't be saved. About the cost of fame, the weight of expectations, and the grace of being human. How we treat those who falter, who fall, who fight to be seen. Bruce wasn't perfect. He could be stubborn, private, flawed, but he gave us something rare. Vulnerability when machismo ruled. Humor when pain loomed. Heart when it would have been easier to hide. From a Jersey kid with a stutter to global icon, he carried stories that resonated across generations. He made us laugh, cheer, and cry. He made us believe in the guy who keeps swinging even when the odds are brutal. His greatest role wasn't John McClane or David Addison. Wasn't even on a screen. It was in the quiet moments, how he loved his family, how he lifted others, how he faced a disease that stole his voice but not his spirit. It was in Emma's advocacies, and his daughter's love, in the industry that rallied to protect him. Bruce didn't vanish, he echoed, in every harmonica riff that carried his soul, in every yippee-ki-yay that became a battle cry, in every person who saw themselves in his fight. Flawed, fragile, and fiercely alive, he wasn't a god, he was one of us. And that's why we'll never forget him. I hope you guys enjoyed my little Bruce Willis video today. I have wanted to make this for a while, especially when this was going to be my first celebrity video. I decided to go with Richard Pryor because he's probably my favorite comedian, but I definitely wanted to do Bruce Willis. I wanted to kind of get my chops a little bit refined better before I attempted to do my favorite actor. I remember when I was a kid, the first live action movie I had seen that really spoke to me was Disney's The Kid. Now, is it the greatest film of all time? Not really, but I remember it just really resonated with me. And after that, if I ever saw a movie with Bruce Willis in it, I was instantly watching it. And it was until probably the 2010s when he just started showing up in everything. And he wasn't even really in the movies. He'd be in there for one scene. Or I would watch everything before that, though. If he was on the title card, I was going to that movie. I remember being so excited. It was Surrogacy, or The Surrogates, something like that. I remember begging my parents that we had to go see it. We had to be there on opening day because it was going to be packed. It was going to be a massive movie. The last Bruce Willis movie I'd gone to was a massively packed movie. It was Live Free or Die Hard. So I knew that everyone would be going to see this Bruce Willis movie. Only when we got there, me and my parents and my sister were the only people in this movie theater, and of course, not everybody had the same, absolute insane love of Bruce Willis I did, and it was one of those moments that I was just shocked that no one else was in this film. And I remember loving the movie, too, and wondering why it wasn't just packed to the brim with people. He really stood a place in my childhood. He really shined a light. He was one of the driving forces behind me wanting to be an entertainer in general. In fact, I probably would have never done this YouTube channel or done any of the stuff that I've done into entertainment if it wasn't for my love of Bruce Willis growing up. But let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite Bruce Willis movie? What do you think is a role that he is underappreciated for? Or a moment that just really stands out to you as being like, That's Bruce Willis to me. Let me know what you guys think. I really do appreciate all of your guys' input, and make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate each one of those clicks. And until next time, stop gooning in the closet.